Skull Rock Podcast is brought to you by the generosity of the following companies. The Old Mill Press, publishing beautifully crafted books that illuminate our world. To learn more, visit theoldmillpress.com. And by listeners like you.
Hey everybody, this is John Pomeroy, animator, producer, artist, and you are listening to Skull Rock Podcast.
Aye, mateys, remember this as the day you sailed with the Skull Rock Podcast. Proceed at your own risk and mark well me words, mateys. Dead men tell no tale.
Welcome to Skull Rock Podcast, the show about all things Disney and pop culture. Every week we take you behind the scenes of some of your favorite Disney films, theme park attractions, performances, books, music, as well as what's streaming, what's playing in theaters, and what's going on in this universe of entertainment. I'm Aljon Go, musician and longtime Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and pop culture fan. And you can email me, Aljon, A-L-J-O-N, at skullrockpodcast.com.
And I'm Dave Bossert, artist, filmmaker, and author. Welcome to the Skull Rock Podcast. If you love Disney and pop culture, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also like and follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, LinkedIn, and on our very own Skull Rock YouTube channel. You can also email me at dave@skullrockpodcast.com. Aljon, I can't even believe Thanksgiving is this week.
I know.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Where did this year go?
I have no idea, but it is coming in hot. And
it really is. And you know what, folks? We've got a fantastic guest this week. That's right. We've got musician Aljon Go.
Whoa.
International man of mystery. We're going to be interviewing him. We're going to find out the man behind the curtain, the wizard behind the curtain of the Skull Rock Podcast. So, Aljon, strap into your seat.
I'm
Get
strapped
ready.
in. Hey, you know, I saw the show notes for today, gang. This is a peek behind the curtain. It says, musician Aljon Go, international man of mystery. I just about spit my coffee when I pulled up the Google document. I just was like, oh my gosh, the monitor is going to be covered in coffee. But yeah, happy to talk about stuff and, enjoy this episode of the show. Because I don't, there's one thing I don't like. It's seeing myself on YouTube or on TV. The next thing I don't like is listening to myself.
That's okay. You know what? Listen, we come here every week. We talk about Disney. We talk about pop culture, the content we're consuming.
Yes.
And we're interviewing all kinds of interesting people. And, look, I've gotten a couple of notes over the months from people, our listeners, people saying, hey, why don't you interview Aljon? I want to I want to know more about Aljon.
Okay. That's wonderful.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
So,
No, that's great. And I tell you what is great is the fact that every single week we do these deep dives. And I will say once again, a little bit of housekeeping here on the show. A lot of you haven't subscribed to the show, so go ahead, subscribe to the show wherever you find your podcast, like us, share the show, and go to our YouTube page. I know that, we like to give people a choice where they listen, and our YouTube is up there. Go ahead and subscribe to that, give a like to the episodes, have it playing in the background, help that algorithm push our product, push the show, and we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Go ahead and make that happen. Okay, so before you start grilling me, Dave,
Yeah.
Do we have any? And I know that we have some feedback, and I know it's been a busy week for you. What have you been doing this week? Did you do your little Skype? What did you end up doing? That Skype Zoom meeting that you ended up doing? Did you do that?
Oh, I mean, I had so many Zoom meetings this past week. It was crazy. Also, Nancy and I celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary.
That's
Is that crazy?
Oh,
that's
my
crazy,
gosh, Dave.
isn't it?
Yes, that's that. I asked you how your wife was, and I was like, yes, it is your anniversary. You had your anniversary over the weekend, and congratulations, Dave, on an awesome
Yeah.
anniversary celebration. That's good. And
But,
what? Go ahead.
I was going to say we did get feedback. A lot of folks really enjoyed our Tad Stones. We did a 6-part interview with Tad Stones, a real deep dive into the founding Walt Disney Television.
Yeah.
And, we got a note from Erica, who's a great Alabama. She said, great episode. Michael, in 31 years, Turn of Jafar came.
Oh,
That's
my.
right.
My gosh.
Which Tad Stones had a hand in. And Ethan says, such a great series. Look forward to this episode. And that was a comment about part 6.
That's awesome.
And those are coming from, it's such a joy. And what we try to do here when we do we've got a variety of flip-up.
Yeah, well, I can't wait.
There's one that's going to drop right after the new year that if it doesn't set off alarm bells at the Walt Disney Company, I don't know what will.
Oh, boy. That's what we do here. We're stirring the pot. Dave, you're stirring the pot. No, but that's good. I can't wait to delve into that. It should be a lot of fun. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get into what many people like, which is our picks of the week. Dave, what have you been watching?
Yeah, something, this is a segment that we get so much feedback on. It's fantastic. Well, Aljon, I did go see Wicked for Good this past weekend,
nice.
Which, had blowout numbers.
Yeah.
Both domestic and globally. This is part 2 of Wicked that came out, I guess, last year, if I'm not mistaken. I like this movie a lot. This is the essentially the synopsis for part 2 is now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West. Elphaba lives in exile in the Ozonian forest, while Galinda resides at the palace in the Emerald City, reveling in the perks of fame and reveling in the perks of fame and popularity. As an angry mob rises against Wicked Witch, she'll need to reunite with Galinda herself and all of Oz. It's directed by John Chu. It's 2 hours and 17. And I have to say, Aljon, both Wicked and Wicked for Good, the production value is off this. It's really spectacular. I thought in Wicked for Good, it wasn't as strong of a film as the first one for me, but it was still good. But I have to say, the Wicked for Good is all about Ariana Grande. I mean, she owns this the sequel. Cynthia Erivo is fantastic as Elphaba. And you've also got Jeff Goldblum in this, and Jonathan Bailey, just a stellar cast, Michelle Yeoh. And on this particular film, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 70%. IMDb 7.2 out of 10. 89% of the people like this film. I like this film. I just like the original better.
You're right. Right.
And it's extremely well done. The songs, there's really some emotional heart parts, really spectacular. I mean, if you don't get choked up at one of the songs, probably don't have a pulse. So I would say go see this on a big screen, because this is a film you see on a big screen.
Nice.
Okay. So that's for good. I mean, that's going to play big through the holidays, and I think really spectacular.
Nice.
On the small screen, I know I mentioned this previously. There's a sitcom. It's a CBS sitcom on Paramount Plus and CBS. It's called DMV. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
DMV is a common the place everyone dreads going, department of where employees are minimum wage dealing with customers before they walk the door. Working at the East Hollywood DMV office are Colette, driving examiner with a big heart and bad boundaries. Greg, anthropic, Vic, a former bouncer who loves difficult drivers are placed. Barbara, a newly promoted manager, tries hard but often marked. Just goes on. I mean, it's an ensemble cast.
Yes.
Led by Tim Meadows. Tim Meadows is fantastic.
He's
really a great comedic actor. He plays Greg.
Yes.
Harriet Dyer, Paulette. Another standout is Tony Cavallero. as Vic. You may know his character or know him as the actor from The Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah.
He was a great character, just gems. Anyway, DMV is a wonderful laugh out loud moments. So check it out on BS on Paramount. So that's. Nice. And then I continue, and I've talked about Blue Lights, a Belfast-based drama. Blue Lights follows new police Grace, Annie, and Tommy as they in a high-pressure environment. This, is shot around Belfast, really in show. Police procedural, but it takes place in Belfast. And it's very enjoyable and well done. So check that out on BritBox. You watch it through Prime. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 94%, Aljon. IMDb 8.2 out of 10. I mean, honestly, 86% of the people who watch this like it. So check out Blue Lights. I think you'll a lot. And then finally, Aljon, I mentioned this, I think last week or the week before. I started watching season 5 of Slow Horses.
Yes.
This is one of the best shows on television.
There you go.
One of the best shows on television. Really is. Season 5 has 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And the synopsis is a dysfunctional team of MI5 agents and their obnoxious boss, the notorious Jackson Lamb, who's played by Gary Oldman brilliantly.
I love it.
Navigate the espionage world's smoke and mirrors to defend England forces. This is based on a book called Slough House by Mick Herron, and you want to watch incredible series. It's Slow Horse. If you don't have Apple Plus, this in and of itself is worth getting Apple Plus.
Nice.
Okay, 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb. 89% like this TV show. I think Gary Oldman is incredible as Jackson Lamb. I mean, just a fantastic character. Funny as hell. Delivery is dry and witty and hilarious. Some of the stuff he comes out with. He's just absolutely fantastic. Series Satellite Award for Best Actor genre. I mean, just an award winner. And I can't say enough good things about this show, Aljon. And it's all shot around London. I lived in a little while. So, it's just wonderful watching this show. I can't get enough of it. And by the way, they're already shooting. They're shooting season 6.
Nice.
That's how incredible this show. I mean, after season 4, they picked it up for season 5 and 6. They got a 2-season pickup. Wow. So my only complaint is I wish the seasons were 10 episodes.
Right.
So that's what I've been watching.
That's good.
Now, John, what have you been watching?
Oh man, we're watching Nashville 9/11 again. So
you are a glutton for punishment.
I'm a glutton for punishment. It's not. I mean, look. Now it's really like, oh, where in Nashville am I this week? And that's basically. I mean, look, the cast is great. I hope they just continue to find their footing. When I see these kind of dramas like Grey's Anatomy and things like that, it just becomes more fantastical as time goes on. And we just started on the wrong foot. I think it's just like, I know they wanted to start off with a bang or a big event, and they certainly did that. And I'm hoping I hope they just move along.
But you I think if I recall correctly, when you first talked about the first episode you watched, you said it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yes.
Okay.
It was ridiculous.
Now, can I ask you, when you're watching Nashville 9/11 or 9/11?
Yeah.
Are you looking at some of the shots and going, that's not in Nashville?
No, I mean it's in Nashville. It's in places they have to do some of these fantastical things. They have to probably they move it from they use historical landmarks and things like that. There's a lot of B-roll about the city and the town surrounding the city because it has to be the Metro Fire Department, and so it has to be in these areas. But of course, when you're having an explosion at a warehouse or something happens, you have to kind of bring it outside of Nashville. So I get what they're doing. and it is fantastical. I get that, but it's not. I think what really takes me out of it is the fact that they have to show fires, and fires during the day with the effects that they have to do just don't look convincing to me.
Right.
And that's the thing. When you have a show, Nashville 911, and you have a fire, it's got to look convincing, and the effects just take me out of it. It just does not look right. So that's what takes me out of it. I will say this. What's really great is Marvel Zombies. So I finally finished it, and it's only 4 episodes, gang. It's basically an extension of the Marvel What If series, which Marvel Animation, I thought, did a great job of telling these great stories of what would happen in this particular season of Marvel Zombies if the zombie apocalypse happened. A virus comes down to the earth, the Avengers are infected, and they still retain a lot of their capability, but they're undead, and they're looking to basically take over the world as the Legion of the Undead. And a handful of superheroes are left to defend the earth, and they're trying their best to call out for help from the Nova Corps, which is another, planet you saw where the Guardians of the Galaxy were for the Nova Corps and come down and help the Earth. That was, and they are protecting this transmitter so that they can go out and call for help. It's kind of like the MacGuffin of the entire story. And it stars a lot of the voice actors that are actually reprising their roles. So you still have Miss Marvel from the Miss Marvel series, which she is wonderful in the show, I have to say. So you're looking at the original voice cast. Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, is in there. You also have actors like Paul Rudd, who's in there, playing, the disembodied head of Ant-Man, which is really great. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's too good. Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. Awkwafina as Catty Chen is in there. So there's a lot of those actors that are reprising their roles, and I love it. And they do such a great job. I really am impressed with David Harbour as Alexei, coming in as the Red Guardian is back. Elizabeth Olsen is back as Wanda Maximoff. There's so many great, Randall Park as Jimmy Woo from the Ant-Man series. Great voice acting, great story, and so many Easter eggs and a love letter to the horror zombie genre, from the Romeros and the Day of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead. And then you have, of course, Marvel Zombies was actually written by Kirkman, who did The Walking Dead. And so that comic series is kind of brought to life. So there's a lot of Easter eggs to The Walking Dead and little love letters to that, and things like Ash and the Evil Dead series. So there's a lot of great stuff that they threw into this series. It doesn't go overboard with fan service. It's just the right amount. Great animation and great audio as well. It's very, very well done. So if you want a little bit of a diversion, 30-minute episodes, there are 4 of them. Check out Marvel Zombies.
Awesome.
You're going to love it. And Dave, I finally saw Elio with the kids.
All right. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. It's not the best. This is Disney Pixar, so I have expectations, and I try not to. I really try not to. When I go into a Disney Pixar film, I think of wonderful story, a lot of heart, amazing cinematic effects. When I look and what I love about Pixar is that they will do these big, grandiose kind of scenes where they zoom out and it's an entire world and it's living, it's breathing, there's kinetic energy, it feels real. I felt like that in Brave and WALL-E, and I felt that way in Toy Story. There's a lot of things that just, when you zoom out, it makes the world real. And Elio really didn't do that for me, unfortunately. The story, if you don't know, is Elio, a space fanatic with an active imagination, finds himself on a cosmic misadventure where he must form new bonds with alien life forms, navigate a crisis of intergalactic proportions, and somehow discover who he truly is meant to be. And I know that this production, we talked about it for a while now, is plagued with a bunch of rewrites, directors changing, and a lot of stuff being cut out of the original screenplay. I get that. I really get that. But it really, the heart of it seems to get lost somewhere. And as much as I want to cheer for Elio, and I found myself, trying to do that, the voice actors are great. The third act is pretty good, but man, the getting there was a chore. So I think the IMDb ratings for this are about 6.7 for people that watched it. I'll agree with that. Probably a good 6 for me. So it's not the worst of the Pixar movies, but it's along that line. It's at the very bottom. It's nothing spectacular, unfortunately. And I really wanted to like it, Dave.
Yeah, I have no doubt it looks spectacular, as Pixar films do. But, I think you hit it on the head. There's a problematic project, a path that decided to change. The director departed the project and they put another director. At that point, you're trying to cobble it together, and still release it. I understand where you're coming from.
I wanted more, but it's okay. It's cobbled together, as you said. And I think it is a result of all that. But gang, last thing I wanted to say is I did go back and I listened to a lot of underrated bands this week. And I just wanted to put a shout out to a great underrated band by the name of Squeeze. Dave, you remember the band Squeeze?
Oh, absolutely.
There was Glenn Tilbrook, Chris Difford, Simon Henson, Stephen Large. There's a bunch. Paul Carrick was in the band at some point.
Yeah.
But they're a British band. I went back.
They're a great band.
They're great band. A lot of people will know them from the song "Tempted," "Coffee in Bed," "Hourglass." Some of my favorite songs. Those are hit songs, but they do have a lot of great songs. I couldn't believe they have 15, almost 20, albums to their credit. Go back and listen to the wonderful band that is Squeeze. And I think you'll find that they're more than just the band that does Tempted. If you like bands like Elvis Costello, if you like kind of Brit alt pop rock, kind of new wave that was coming from the UK in the early 80s, you're going to love this band. So check them out when you get a chance. I've rediscovered them. I think they're amazing. So anyway, gang, I hope you dug what we were talking about this week. If you have any questions or if you just want us to review something that maybe you dig and want to hear our take on it, feel free to email us. Send us those emails and we'll review it for a future episode.
Skull Rock Podcast. This week in Disney and pop culture.
All right, Dave. Wicked. Oh my gosh. That is a lot of money they're making. $151 million plus, smashing opening box office records. It looks to aim for $228 million globally this weekend, right before Thanksgiving. Dave, that's a huge box office in what would normally be a very lackluster year for cinema this year.
Well, and Aljon, I went to see it in the Cube at the Midway Movies in the Delaware beaches, and I will tell you that I love the Cube. It's sort of a junior IMAX screen.
Oh,
without it being IMAX.
Interesting. Interesting.
And I have never seen the Cube more full.
Wow.
Than when I went to see this on Saturday.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was amazing. Nice. So it is going to be. I think the numbers are going to probably creep up.
Well, there you go.
When they all come in.
Nice. Let's see. As of now, last year's Wicked is the record holder of $112.5 million, the third biggest of all time, behind The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast from 2017. It would be among the second biggest North American opening for the Universal title, right behind Jurassic World at $208.8 million. Dave, that's good stuff. Good stuff.
It's very impressive, and it's also good for the theaters, you know, because this movie has gotten people out, which is really, I think, a positive.
Oh, it really is. So looking forward to that. I will tell you that I am looking forward to seeing some movies on my flight into China. And I wish I could go to the Disney parks in Shanghai and everywhere. I'm not going to have an opportunity, but I am, Dave. I am going to go to Tokyo Disney Sea. That is confirmed.
All right, awesome.
So we're going to do it.
That's fantastic.
Dave, Taylor Sheridan's Landman delivered the biggest season for the series premiere in Paramount Plus's history. It continues to do well, man. I tell you, is there nobody hotter in Hollywood than Taylor Sheridan right now?
You know what? All of his shows, and he has a diverse portfolio of shows. But I watched the first 1 or 2 episodes. I think I watched 2 episodes of Landman season 2, and it's fantastic. It's a great show. I didn't talk about it what I was watching. I was going to put it out next time we get to what we're watching. But it's a great show. I highly recommend it.
9 million views over the first 2 days. It's setting a record, man. Congratulations. And he's doing quite well. And I'm looking forward to catching up on some of these on Paramount Plus. It's like the only reason to get Paramount Plus. There's no Star Trek for me, so this is it. Hey,
yeah. You know, but the thing I would say is that there's some really great shows on Paramount Plus. There's also Tulsa King, which is a Taylor Sheridan show.
Taylor Sheridan is doing it. Yep. Dave, Thanksgiving halftime shows. Jack White, Post Malone, and Lil Jon is going to be doing it up. All 3 artists will deliver 3 halftime performances during the game set Thanksgiving Day. You know, I think this is good. You know, the NFL needs to bring some people through the door. They've alienated a lot of people over the course of the past few years, and having a diverse group of musicians to give people reasons to tune into the show only puts more eyeballs onto the product for the NFL. And people are looking to be entertained outside of just the Super Bowl. They tried this over the past few years. I think it's worked to very good success for them. So Post Malone will be taking the stage for the Cowboys versus Kansas City Chiefs. Dave, are you a football fan?
You know, I generally watch the big championship games.
There you go. There you go.
I wouldn't say I'm a football fan.
There you go. Lil Jon will be live at the Baltimore Ravens game against the Bengals. And wow, that's good stuff right there. And then, of course, you've got Detroit native Jack White performing Detroit Lions in Thanksgiving halftime show against the Green Bay Packers. Big. Let's see, Dave. I've got a couple of quick notes about some Disney Plus streaming stuff. Have you seen the trailer, Dave? Because I know you're the target audience. Brand new trailer for The End of an Era, the 6-episode behind-the-scenes docu-series of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. It was released, and episodes will be debuting. 2 episodes will be debuting each week starting December 12th. And there's also going to be a ABC preview special that's going to be happening. Episode 1, The End of an Era, and an hour-long presentation of Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, which will air on ABC December 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Once again, Disney Plus, ABC, doing stuff with music, and I'm sure it's going to come in really large for Taylor Swift fans in Hulu when it's released.
They just keep milking this Eras Tour.
It was the biggest thing, for years.
It was
crazy. The biggest thing for years, and Taylor's going to be going back on the road, soon. So I'm sure there's going to be another behind the scenes because Taylor brings in the box office. There's no doubt about that.
It's unbelievable,
isn't it? Though, did you see the new Beatles trailer, Dave? Did you see that? Speaking of music,
is that for the? Is it a re-release? Not a re-release, but it's a release of older recordings.
Yeah, they're doing this real thing. It's a Beatles anthology. Is going to be another box office Disney Plus series, as told by the Beatles themselves. So this
is this also being accompanied with an album release?
I'm not sure. I'm looking
because I saw something, Aljon, about music. There were some recording the Beatles in the studio working out some of these songs.
Yeah, it says
that haven't been heard by the public. And I saw a little blurb with Giles Martin overseeing the mixing of all that.
Yeah, I think you may be right on that. I seem to remember reading about that in the trades, but Beatles anthology coming to Disney Plus here November 26th, just a couple days away as our listeners are hearing this. The Beatles anthology is an Apple Core landmark documentary series exploring the life and times of the most influential and beloved band of all time as told by the Beatles themselves, beautifully restored by Peter Jackson's Park Road Post and expanded from 8 to 9 episodes. The series offers an unprecedented and intimate view of the Beatles' legendary trajectory and inner working. This is going to be great.
I don't know about you, but I can't get enough of the Beatles.
I can't either. Honestly,
I can watch whatever they want to put together. I'll watch it.
I think they're finding out that the generations, Dave, your generation, my generation, we just can't get enough of these music docs. We just can't. And they're doing all these Broadway. They're doing Broadway adaptations. They're doing biopic adaptations from Bruce Springsteen and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. It's just going to keep on coming. Hollywood, this is the new, expect them to have more of these things happen over the looking forward to that. It's Hulu holiday time, and be sure to check out Decking the Halls on Disney Plus as they bring home the beloved classics like Home Alone, Santa Claus, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation starting this week. Be sure to check it out. It's all curated on Disney Plus. I had to give them a little plug because they're sending me all their press releases. So go ahead and check out Disney Plus. I've already started showing the kids, Dave, a couple movies I didn't mention earlier, Home Alone and Home Alone 2. And the kids love it. They love Home Alone. And I'm excited about that. And I will tell you another film that I showed the kids this week was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Wow. I finally showed them that. It hasn't aged well, but they love the film. So there you have it. All right, Dave, this week we have a lot of passings, and someone that you've worked with in the animation industry kind of is leading off today's obituary roll call, Dave. Joe Gilland.
Yeah, this is real sad. Joe Gilland was very talented effects. He was at Disney for a while. Really the Renaissance, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Hercules, Mulan. He also he worked out of the Florida studio and Tarzan, Emperor, the original Lilo and Stitch, the animated, and Brother Bear. Really, terrific guy. In recent years, I believe Costa Rica. And I traded, but real sad to his passing. He was 77. Rest of good knowing your next.
Yeah, very sad. He was only 77, Dave.
And Too young.
Elemental Magic is a book, The Art of Special Effects Animation by Joe Gilland, is out there with forward by Michael Gang. And as mentioned here in this obituary, he had his start in feature animation with Don Bluth with Rockadoodle. So we've talked about Rockadoodle a lot over the past year. And he then went to, after Disney, Gilland left Vancouver, led the Vancouver Film School, widely recognized animation program from 2003 to 2005. So good stuff there. You're right about the Costa Rica. Very good stuff. He will be missed.
Yeah.
Another person that's going to be missed is Todd Snider, the Americana singer, songwriter behind All Right Guy, dies at the age of 59. The musician died weeks after he was hospitalized. And, he was a very influential figure in Americana. This news comes after alternative country singer was hospitalized and diagnosed with walking pneumonia, according to his Facebook post, which his friends and family shared. Very sad indeed. He relayed so much tenderness and sensitivity through his songs and showed many of us how to look at the world through different lenses. He got up every morning and started writing and always working toward finding his place among songwriting giants. Very sad indeed. Check out his work when you can. Todd Snider at 50. Gary Manny Moundfield of Stone Roses and Primal Scream, dead at the age of 63. Another music veteran and dying much too young.
Absolutely.
He founded the Stone Roses, a great band back in the 90s. His brother shared the news on Thursday. It's with the heaviest of hearts that I have to announce the sad passing of my brother, Gary Manny Moundfield. The cause of death for the musician was not disclosed. Sad indeed. And then we have another actor, Gotti actor Spencer LaFranco, dead at 33. Dave, my goodness, so young. Spencer LaFranco, the Canadian actor best known for his starring roles in Jamesy Boy and Gotti, has died at the age of 33. It's being investigated by authorities in British Columbia, Canada. It has not been confirmed. So young. Oh, my goodness.
That's crazy.
So young.
That's crazy. It's so sad.
Very much. And on the opposite end, someone who lived a long life at the age of 91, beloved Italian singer Ornella Vaioni, whose career spanned 7 decades, passes away. Performer who'd been in a 7-decade-long singing career with hits, international hits as Senza Fire and La Appartamento, has passed away. in a post by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, expressed her deep sorrow on the loss of Veone, whose unmistakable voice left an imprint on Italian culture for generations. And
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. What a career. And that wraps up Obituary Roll Call for this week. Dave, and now it's time to sit back and relax because you're going to be grilling me. Craziness. I can't believe
do this.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, let's chat.
Let's chat.
So let's chat now.
Let's chat afterwards. And he said, let's chat again.
Skull Rock Podcast. Interview time.
Well, Aljon, we have a fantastic guest today. We've got you, Aljon Go, international man of mystery, musician, talented guy, radio personality, podcaster. Aljon, welcome to the Skull Rock Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Okay.
So, Aljon, I have to say that I've gotten notes for the months saying, why don't you Aljon that much about him? So I want to start where I always start with our guests and say, Aljon, how'd you get into the business?
Well, the business of music, the business of podcasting, it's a funny one.
Well, the business, I mean, like, how did you start out? Because you're a musician at heart, but you're also an artist. And, when you were in high school, what was the vision? You wanted a Marvel artist to go and be a rock and roller?
Well, it's funny. I was born in Seattle back in the 70s. Born in Seattle, and my dad was in aerospace, worked for Boeing and NASA. Met my mom, and she, they were both, immigrants. They were born in the Philippines and then moved over here to the States. My dad had studied, and music was a part of their lives. When they my dad moved from Chicago after, migrating here, going to Seattle to work for Boeing, met my mom. And they were both loved music. And I grew up in that house. My mom was a classically trained pianist and wanted my brother and I to learn an instrument. I had a sister who passed on very early, and it was just the two of us, my brother and I, a very small family because my
Wow.
dad was a single, he had no siblings, and my mom was the same way.
Wow.
So we just learned how to play. And I loved art too. I really loved art. I was an artistic kid. I wasn't really a sports kid. I tried to play basketball and all that growing up, but at the end of the day, I just loved music and art so much. And I from Seattle moving to Nashville, it was around 1982 when that happened, and I loved MTV. So I really loved music and art with Disney in that time period. It was the early 80s. So MTV and Disney movies were great. And I just wanted to just explore art and music. And that's really where it all started.
Tell me, what precipitated the Seattle?
My dad got a change in job. So the aerospace industry was booming at the time. And when he started working for Boeing, it was just, 700 series jets. I mean, he really helped build wings and stuff like that for those 700 series jets back in the 70s. And then the aerospace industry moved to Nashville. He moved alongside with it and then moved our family out. And then, and that's really what happened, And
how was that? Because how old were you? Because a lot of times that be kind of traumatic for a kid.
Yeah, I was in second grade, so I was maybe about 10 years old when that happened,
okay.
And it was it sucked to leave my friends behind, but I was excited about what was happening, and my brother was in first grade. We're only about 18 months apart, so my brother and I just we just went along and we started a new life, and it was great. And Nashville was not the way it is now. Nashville was, you didn't want to go downtown during that time period. And we lived in the suburbs. So we were a little bit sheltered, from a lot of the stuff that was going on. But Nashville was not the place it is now. It wasn't the booming metro place that it is now.
Well, was it sort of like a rough and tumble inner city?
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. You didn't want to go downtown. it was not as clean and family friendly, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
it was just, there's an old film called Nashville that kind of shows off what that was like. It was definitely different, but it's changed a lot. But I will say that, with the advent of cable TV, when we moved to Nashville, I just wanted to pick up the guitar. I've saw, my friends were all influenced by their older brothers and sisters who played records, and we just listened to records when I would go over their houses. And my mom loved bands like Led Zeppelin and Elton John, and my dad loved surf rock like the Ventures and Al Green and the Commodores and the Beatles, of course, and a huge Beatles house. So those were the bands, and I didn't rebel. And didn't want to just, listen to stuff that was on the radio then. I mean, my parents were just like, this is awesome music. You should check it out. And then, there you go. I was just influenced by those kinds of bands. And then, my mom was like, hey, Aljon, you and your brother should learn how to play an instrument because you're getting to be in your early teens. I think playing piano would be great. And I said, well, instead of piano, can we play guitar instead?
And so how'd she respond to that?
She was okay with it. So we went down to the local music store and got an acoustic guitar. My brother and I both shared it. And so while I was sketching Marvel characters and Disney characters on sketch pads, I was also playing guitar. And my dad loved going to the old public library and getting these little cans of film and putting on a projector and playing Disney movies in the kitchen, which was great. So that's what we grew up watching. We went to the public library. We got a bunch of Disney films, watched it in the kitchen, the old projector, and then my brother and I playing guitar and listening. And my mom, being a classically trained pianist, she would do her scales with us and everything like that. And she was not strict. She never pushed us for anything. They were always so supportive, but we loved music. And there you go. We were playing guitar and I was drawing at the same time.
And what kind of music?
Everything, a lot of pop rock, everything that was on the radio. And in fact, my mom, being a classically trained pianist, she played well, but she was really playing by ear. And my brother and I both learned that way. Before we even learned how to read music, we played by ear. So we would play with the songs on the radio. So everything from REO Speedwagon to Debbie Gibson, everything that was on the radio at the time, I just learned how to play. And I ended up having a pretty good ear to the point where I had perfect pitch. So my brother and I would play songs and at parties and different things like that where they'd have a piano and a guitar, and my mom and I would sing and play, and we could play anything, just about anything. They'd almost call us a human jukebox because if anything would come on the radio, we'd end up learning how to play it. To this day, they still call me that because at work they have no idea, like, you know all these songs. It's like, that's because I grew up playing them, all of them.
So let me ask you, were you playing songs like Stairway to Heaven
Sure.
and Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo? And,
Sure.
Because those were like favorites of garage bands when I was growing up.
Absolutely. I started down that path after we got these guitars. My brother and I would sit and watch MTV, and it was like learning from osmosis. So we'd just sit Saturday mornings. Some of our friends would be watching Saturday morning cartoons. Yes, we would do that. But then automatically when the cartoons were over, we'd go to MTV and we'd sit and play with the guitar, and he'd fumble around playing, some bass lines and stuff. Eventually getting a bass guitar, and I would play a guitar, and we'd form a band. In school, we just form a band with some of our grade school kids, and then we just start playing, songs like Stairway to Heaven, or we play songs like With or Without You by U2, because that was so popular in the late 80s,
Yeah.
right? So we would play all those bands, and we'd play The Cure, and we would play Heart, songs by Heart, just all these great classic songs now, but they were relatively new at that time. And we perform at like church functions and do like little mini talent shows at the basement of our friends' houses. I mean, that's just kind of what happened, when we were in grade school.
So you get into high school playing music, you're drawing. What did you decide to do for college?
Well, before that, Dave, I'll tell you what really kick-started my whole career, and then I started phasing out drawing, was the fact that my teacher in 8th grade decided to, or 7th, I think it was 7th and 8th grade, enroll us into a songwriting competition. And this was just one of those things that happened. You write a song and it's being judged by the Country Music Hall of Fame songwriters, and you get the winners would perform at this showcase at the Country Music Hall of Fame. So this is in 1988, 1989, and I won. So wow. I had my demo cut by a songwriter, Philip McCracken. I think that was his name. I know it's weird to say Phil McCracken, right? But I think that was the producer's name and songwriter's name. He took my demo, recorded it in the studio, and I got a chance to play it. And it was presented that night was presented by a then up and comer named Vince Gill. And so,
oh my gosh, wow.
Vince Gill, I think, was just coming up in the industry, and I played at the original Country Music Hall of Fame. And my dad, unfortunately, couldn't be there. He was in England working a project for British Aerospace, but I loved it so much. And I think that was a pivotal point in my life where I think I'm going to like playing music and versus drawing. So my whole thought was I loved the Disney animation. The Renaissance was going on at that time. As I said, Beauty and the Beast and all, Little Mermaid had come out, and I was really wanting to become an animator or work for Marvel Comics because they were so awesome. But during that time, I was like, yep, music's where it is, man. And so moving into high school, I was in bands and I still sketched a little bit, but I did just started playing music, and that's where the whole rock band thing. I played gymnasiums everywhere, played in the marching band, studying music and composition, and just really
was that in high school?
That was in high school.
Composition. Wow.
Yeah. We actually I actually composed a thing for our concert band. I composed a piece called "To the Birdhouse," and it was it was a really cool march and stuff. And I was learning about music theory. And yeah, I just slowly started, phasing out of drawing and sketching. And I was drawing every day. I used to sell comics and stuff like that. I was very entrepreneurial, Dave.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but selling comics and stuff, and I used to draw on book covers, and people would just buy book covers from me because I would take scenes from Disney films and just kind of draw them. But it just changed to just being music, and then and that's what I did all throughout high school, and then into college. I was studying in a conservatory, got a scholarship.
What was the name of the school?
It was Austin Peay State University. So it was in Clarksville. We were in Middle Tennessee. And I went from going to graduated high school to going to college up north in Clarksville, the last train to Clarksville. And
in Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was going to study to be a band director.
Is that really the Clarksville from Last Train to Clarksville?
That is really the Clarksville from Last Train to Clarksville. Clarksville is very close to where the 101st Airborne Unit is, and the 101st Airborne is where Jimi Hendrix was a soldier.
Wow.
So it's one of those things, Hendrix was from Seattle, and then bought his first guitar, I think, in Clarksville while he was in the 101st Airborne, and Clarksville would be my stomping grounds for many years as I studied music and was studying to be a band director and doing my juries and everything in this conservatory, because Austin Peay was known for their music and mass comm program. And when I went there to study music education, and I thought for sure I was going to be a band director, but after a few years of very highly competitive years, and they were very competitive in the music program there, I thought maybe this isn't for me. And I was student teaching too at the time. I was student teaching music and marching band, percussion, because I actually went in and studied percussion, and I didn't study guitar, believe it or not. I wanted to go into marching band and orchestra, and had and studied four mallet percussion. So I was playing marimba with four mallets and vibraphone, and then timpani also, doing percussion. So I was studying really well, but it just wasn't working out. I just kind of got burned out because it was so highly competitive, and I switched to radio and TV production instead. So I flip-flopped my major. So I ended up being mass communications, TV, marketing, and journalism first, and then music education as a minor.
And you know, come on. We've said this before on this show. You have a radio voice.
Well, that's
you
where
really do.
Well, I appreciate that. It didn't start out that way. And when I was in college, when I flip-flopped, I went and dropped my face into the radio and TV side of the mass comm building, music and mass communications building. And my professor, David Von Palka, was there. And he's got this huge radio voice, Dave. And he was doing news. I believe he was he studied and did news for WSM, which is a huge radio station, and doing news. And I said, I'm interested in the radio gig. So I did college radio starting out, and this is the mid-90s now. And I enjoyed it. You know, I was studying radio and TV production. I was I literally was a student of radio, and then studying everything about everything I could. And then I volunteered at my college radio station, and then worked my way up from music director to program director, and then started teaching digital audio editing because they just started putting in these computers that were editing. So you weren't taking reel to reel, audio tapes, reels of tape and splicing them with a razor. You actually were now using a digital form, which was very new. So we took the digital files, and I edited them, and I was making all kinds of radio jingles and stuff like that, and won a couple of awards for that, which was really cool. So I just took to it really well, and that was radio. I started my career in radio, and then after that, I got a job at WKDF, the big station in Nashville.
So I was going to say, how does one get a job at a radio station?
Well, lucky enough, working for as many hours as I did in the college radio station prepped me. I spent every living moment at that college radio station. I was mentoring others, teaching digital editing, learned from my professors, pulling news, reading news left and right, weather and news, and teaching it. And I said, I'm going to make my way down to WKDF in Nashville. So it was 45 minutes away from my college, back down into downtown Nashville. And 103 WKDF was the biggest rock station in the Southeast at that point. Probably one of the biggest rock radio station in the East Coast, in the Midwest. And I had to find my way there. And luckily for me, with my professor working WSM, and then also me being involved with radio, I had a little bit of a resume. So I was able to take my recorded voice tapes. We called them air checks, where you'd have little samples of your voice snippets of what you do on the air and play them. And I sent in like an audition tape, if you will. And they took me in and said, hey, kid, you're good. We have a spot here in music research, so you can start doing music research. I would have cleaned the toilets, Dave, because I really wanted it so bad, and worked my way. And when you're doing music research, you would take the choruses of songs, and you would do cold calls and do the research and say, hey, this is a sample screener. Hey, I'm Dominic from Music Research, and we wanted to ask you a little bit about your music preferences, Dave. Do you have a couple minutes of time to talk to me about what you like in radio station? And you would tell me, like, yeah, I do.
You'd say no, and I'd hang up on you.
Yes,
no,
and that would happen. And that would happen, and that would happen a lot. You were doing cold call research. A lot of people hang up on you, but on occasion, someone would say, "Yes, I want to talk about music," and then you would take their research down and then play these little clips over the phone, and you would be on the phone with these people. I'd have my headset on, and I would test songs, and you would test like 10 clips, and because of this research, the radio stations that were owned by my company would play the heck out of certain songs. So now you know why songs were played so much on the radio. It's because people like me were doing research to see what was popular.
Got it.
And that's how I worked my way up.
Was there? We always hear, we've always heard about, early rock and roll. There was payola. Yeah. Where was that going on in the 90s, where record companies were paying stations?
It would it would happen in different ways.
What kind of did they give you a Ferrari?
Zero. I was the lowest man on the totem pole. I I was lucky to take home records, and that was the fun part about my job because working in music research, I ended up working for some great people. I can tell you that the best perk about the perks about being in radio during that time for me was bringing home a bunch of records because I got a lot of sample records and it was fun. And then the other thing too was like going and doing radio station remotes, because when I finally got to the point where I was on the microphone doing FM radio at an awesome rock radio station, they would put me out in different remotes and I'd be live from like a gas station or live at this club. And when you're 20 years old and you are doing a radio remote somewhere and they're, paying you to do this live, and that was fun. Doing these radio remotes, and those were some of the perks, and of course going to concerts and stuff for free. That was always.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that seems like a natural because they want the market, see the band, meet the band, be backstage, all of that kind. Was that?
Oh, absolutely. Not only being on the air, I was on the air at the rock radio station. I was on the air at the pop radio station. It was so much fun to just be part of that whole vibe. And I also hosted the local rock show, Dave. So I would find bands and they would send in, tons of records and CDs, and you'd go through their press kit and you'd be like, oh, this band is great, or this band, not so much. And I would program 3 hours of programming every single weekend, on a Sunday night. And some of these bands ended up blowing up, which is really nice, being really popular. But, that was a perk and I loved it. I loved being behind the scenes. I loved the nightlife. I loved everything about it. And that's part of being young, right? Young and being in the music scene.
Yeah, without question. Yeah. So what happened with radio?
Well, what happened was I wanted to finish college, and it took me a little bit longer because I ended up getting a full-time gig working at 103 KDF, and I just wanted to finish school. So it took me a couple extra years because I was working full-time and living in Clarksville, just driving back and forth. And I held down multiple jobs. I was working at a Target. I was working at a record store. I was paying for rent.
While you were on the air?
While I was on the air, I was a student, full-time student. And then I was on the air. I was on the air doing nights and overnights. And so I was just I was depressed. I was just working so much because I worked nights and overnights. I didn't have a life, and then I would work. I would go to school, and I would also work full time, several jobs. So I was just doing everything I could just to kind of survive. But when you're working nights and overnights, my friends just started disappearing. They would not invite me out because, Aljon's working. And on occasion they would visit me at the radio station and they'd hang out with me before they went and did their thing. So they would come hang out with me, and then they started just disappearing, and that's just the way it was. And
the radio didn't really pay enough to support you. No,
it didn't. Those were fun times, but I had a car payment. I was paying on an apartment, and it just wasn't working out. And then I after college, like I got back into being in a band, and my band, we started, doing these really good gigs and stuff like that. And so I just reduced my hours at the station to finish school. And then I ended up being in a rock band, and we ended up getting more popular in the Southeast. So we started touring again and doing some stuff with the band.
And what kind of venues were you playing with the band? Were they like sort of troubadour style clubs, or the Stone Pony, like in Asbury Park, those types of clubs?
Yeah, they were actually a little bit smaller than the Troubadour. We have a place called the Exit Inn here in Nashville, and I would say most of them are just, smaller rock clubs.
Right.
And so we would play the club scene here. We would go to Alabama. We would go to Georgia, Florida. On occasion, we would take these, trips to different places in Kentucky and in Texas. And so we bought a van and we started doing the whole road thing. So while I graduated college with a degree, ultimately my band took me other places. So, and then we had a talent scout find us doing a show in Nashville. And then we ended up doing some USO Armed Forces entertainment tours, Dave.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, Aljon, because I find that really fascinating. A lot of people have heard about the USO, but they think it's like, only during wartime where they're putting, entertainment together for the troops. But that happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it happens all the time. And, the U.S. military has a lot of wellness programs, and part of it is making sure that our soldiers anywhere, even stateside and overseas, have entertainment. And these bands would come in and perform. Artists would come in. We'd have stand-up comedians or, WWE wrestlers would come in and visit them. And that's what I did. We found this talent scout founded us and said, hey, you'd be great. Do you want to do these tours? And we were like, sure, man. That's great. We'd do it. Lo and behold, he actually made true to his promise and put us through to the Pentagon. And the Armed Forces Entertainment, very similarly to the USO, would put these bands on the road and put us on the road. And we would do a circle tour of like the Mediterranean and the Middle East. This is pre 9/11. So we did a couple of these. We'd be out for a month, 5 weeks, and we would go to these individual bases and perform for the troops. And we do like 3-hour sets. We do covers and our original music. We were able to take our merchandise with us. We had to be very self-contained. So we took all of our guitars, amps, everything with us and put them on pallets. And we'd fly commercial and road cases, and we'd fly commercial, and we pay the extra luggage fee and everything. And go. And then the USO would pay.
So let me ask you this though. Who was paying for this?
Oh, of course you were, Dave. Taxpayers would pay for it.
so the USO was picking up the travel.
Oh yeah,
tab,
of course.
Right?
They would pick up the travel tab, and so Armed Forces Entertainment would pay for it, and they would give us kind of like a daily, like a stipend for that, and then
per diem.
It would be per diem, and so we'd have a per diem, and then we'd play those shows, and it was great. A lot of those artists, like, we did a loop with Drew Carey, us, Joan Jett, Three Doors Down, bands that were very popular around the 2000s at that point now. So we moved up, moved up in the ranks, and the Go-Go's had reunited, and we do a loop with them. So they would do a show, a few days before us, and we'd be following along the same loop. So we'd go on after them and round in these circles. So we'd go into Spain, Turkey, the Isle of Crete, Italy, in the Mediterranean. You'd go around that loop, and it was just it was nice. It was really nice.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I mean, it sounds like you got to see the whole world.
At least the Mediterranean, Dave, in the Middle East, the northern part of Africa, went to the Great Pyramids.
Wow.
And rode a camel, went to Portugal, checked out the wine, played on aircraft carriers, military bases, performed for troops. It was really great. It was really great. Pre 9/11, we'd go around in vans and look at the countryside of Tuscany and go into Rome. And, even though we didn't get a chance to see and step foot into the Colosseum or the Leaning Tower or anything like that, you'd get to see it on the way over.
Sure.
And then you'd perform at the bases, and the troops were really kind to us. Everybody was really great. And then 9/11 happened. And then
and what changed?
Well, we were there. We were in Bahrain setting up our very first tour. Or no, this is maybe our third type of tour. We were on a military base in Bahrain, and then 9/11 happened. We were actually setting up, and the whole base started scrambling. CNN was on the big screen TVs behind us while we were setting up for our nighttime show. And the colonel on the base said, kids, they didn't say kids, guys, we're going to have to postpone the rest of this tour or tonight's show. And then later on, we'd find out what all had happened. And we're horrified, of course, went back to the hotel room, and we were in Bahrain for a week and a half.
You couldn't leave.
Played in the hotel, and we were on, we had some U.S. Marines kind of guard our room and everything, and we were there for a week and a half, and the world changed,
The world did change.
The world did change.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and we came home, and then, of course, we got the call, a few months after, the war, and we're like, hey, do you want to entertain the troops again? They were going to be, we were the first band to play in Afghanistan.
Wow. And did you go?
We went.
Yeah.
We went. It was Joan Jett, us, and Drew Carey, I think, in Coolio. And
wow, amazing.
We were doing a night, and we performed it in the Kandahar Air Force Base. And that was right there, right by where the Taliban, literally the Taliban were in the mountains. And we flew there. We got shot at. We were doing what we call a combat insertion. So our band, of course, we flew commercial all the way to the Middle East to perform for the troops. It was Christmas time, and we're the first band to play in Afghanistan, and all of our stuff was on pallets, and we were in a C-130 jet propeller style plane. And when
cargo plane,
C-130.
C-130.
Exactly. And when you would fly down and do a combat insertion, you would fly straight down because you wanted to give the enemy a lot less to shoot, to shoot at. And the colonel was like, here we go. Everybody else tried to close their eyes, and we saw the flares, the dummy decoy flares come off from the side of the plane, and you could hear ding, 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 ding on the thing. And it's like, just go to sleep, Aljon, you're fine. And we did it.
It's amazing, Aljon, hearing this. My brother was flying C-130s, C-141s, in and out of Kandahar.
I wonder if I played for your brother.
I wonder if you did, because he was there right at the outset when he was in fact at one point in charge of the air base there.
I bet you I did, Dave. I bet you I did.
What a small world.
Well, God bless your brother, Dave.
Yeah,
amazing. And I probably did perform for him. And my band did several nights. The first Super Supper they had there with real food. They brought in lobster and steak for the Allied forces. And we were there drinking with the troops in the tent cities. And there would be troops from the UK and Germany and Italy and, of course, our American troops, and they were just so glad to see an American rock band perform on stage. They built a stage from scratch in the middle of a sandstorm, and we played right after that sandstorm, and we were playing Gibson guitars, Dave. We were endorsed by Gibson at the time, which was amazing, too. So,
And is that when you started to sort of get to know people at Gibson?
It was. It really was. Yeah. A couple years before that, Dave, my band was we had a rehearsal studio right behind what was the Tennessee Oilers before they became the Titans. The Tennessee Oilers, we had a rehearsal studio, and all of our gear got stolen out of there. We went on tour, and we left a bunch of our stuff behind. We had on-site security, and it was a bunch of bands out of Nashville, and all of the stuff got stolen. And we went into...
It was an inside job.
It was an inside job. Yes, it was, Dave. It was an inside job. But we never recovered any of the gear. And I told myself I'm never going to let that happen again. So we went to the NAMM show in Nashville and befriended some people at Gibson. And since we already played their guitars, they were like, oh, great. And they came out and saw us and they loved us. So we started working with them as artists. And we signed like a little, artist endorsement deal. So I've been playing Gibson guitars and Epiphone guitars ever since I started my career playing guitar. And it just so happened that we got validated by the same company we were trying to have a relationship with after all of our gear got stolen. It never would have if the gear never got stolen, I never would have gotten into contact with Gibson to start with. And it's kind of
everything happens for
a reason. And of course,
one door closes, another one opens.
100%. And so we were all lucky. And when we did those USO tours, they lent us a bunch of gear, and they never asked for it back, which was awesome. So
that's fantastic.
So we did that, and Dave, it was just a life-changing experience. And the troops were the best group of people we've ever played for. So humbled to be there, humbled to come back with our lives. To be honest, it was a pretty heavy decision because I'd met Kristen only a couple of years before that, my wife, and unbeknownst to everybody, like before I left for that tour, because it was after 9/11, and when 9/11 happened, we were just dating, and we couldn't get in touch with our own families for days. But when I came home, I asked her to marry me, and no one knew that. and when we left for the tour, and we were already engaged, but no one knew that, and we quote unquote didn't get engaged until we came back in one piece.
Now, did she say yes right away, or did she say, I'll think about it?
No, she said yes right away. Wink, wink. She said she could get rid of me. So she said yes right away because if something were to happen to me, I don't know what I'd do to myself. It would be crazy. I don't know what I'd do. And it's one of those things, and I was also the songwriter for, if you go right now and you go check out Mink, Full Rock Power, that's our album it's still on Spotify and stuff like this now. But a lot of the songs I wrote all the songs. Friends of my band, my bandmates would help arrange and do stuff, but I wrote a lot of the lyrics, and a lot of it was influenced by some of the time I spent away, so on the road.
Wow.
So
amazing.
yeah.
Let me ask you, at what point did you decide I don't want to be on the
I actually never really liked being on the road, Dave. It was hard.
It's a rough life, isn't it?
It was hard. And it still was hard, like being on the road and playing all the time. I think we played like 200 shows a year. So we were working really hard, doing a lot of showcases.
And you were making a living.
Yeah. I would do that. And I would also work at an electronics store, like a Best Buy. I was working at selling electronics on the side and doing stuff. I was barely getting by. Okay. And, I was barely getting by. But I didn't like touring, being on the road. I liked performing a lot, but I didn't like being on the road. And when my band, after several failed attempts at getting a record deal, because we were getting very popular, unfortunately, it just never manifested in a record deal. The band broke up, and my friends at Gibson were like, hey, would you like to work with us in this sales and marketing role? And you'd still be on the road selling guitars. And I said, well, of course I would. I jumped at it. And that's where my career at Gibson started. And believe it or not, Dave, I actually worked simultaneously. I worked at Gibson during the day, and then I worked at the radio station now called The Buzz, 102.9, doing radio on the weekends. So I worked like 7 days a week and did what I needed to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Man. No problem. I know you got to do what you need to do. Yeah. Right.
You start working at Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
You get married.
Yep.
And you got a stable income.
Got a stable income and working at a company I love, selling guitars. I was going across the United States and the Mid-Atlantic, just driving around and, selling guitars basically. And, my wife ended up getting a kidney transplant early on. And that was challenging. But
I was going to say, that's got to be challenging.
It was. And I knew about this. She prepped me for it. She's like, I have this degenerative kidney disease, polycystic kidney disease, adult version. And both she and her sister have it. And they both needed kidney transplants. So, but she almost didn't make it, Dave. I don't know if I told you this, but she couldn't do dialysis she had problems with it. And, it wasn't looking good for her. And one of our bridesmaids donated a kidney to her. So,
wow.
And she's still living with that kidney, 20 years later, she's still living with him. She's done a great job with it.
That's awesome.
It is. But, it puts things in perspective, and I just kept on rocking and rolling with Gibson, doing all kinds of events, doing the CES trade shows in Las Vegas and doing the NAMM shows and, being part of Gibson's initial YouTube channel and hosting programs on that because they ended up putting some of my radio and TV experience to use. So I started helping create content with the Gibson channel.
Yeah, why not though, right? I mean, that's fantastic. And I would also tell our listeners that people can visit the Gibson Garage in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was there earlier this year with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it is the Mecca. I can't tell you, these Gibson guitars are proudly crafted in the United States. They're amazing guitars. I happen to work for the Epiphone and Kramer brands, which, are designed in Nashville, made overseas, at tremendous value. I mean, it's great stuff, but man, music has been part of my life. And I'm just so blessed that, who knew that in my life I'd be playing the guitars that my heroes played and then ultimately work with them to bring some of their guitars to the masses. I mean, it's just an amazing opportunity. I'm thankful every day about it.
Well, and this is kind of a segue into the fact that you're not going to be here for the next couple because with Gibson, you're traveling Japan and China.
Yeah. I mean, we have a factory down there that makes our Epiphone guitars. So I'm meeting up with a bunch of our Japanese dealers and talking to them about our guitars. And then going to Japan after going to China and, talking more and visiting them. I hadn't been to Japan since 2008. So it's long overdue, and then visiting Disney while I'm out there. So it's going to be great, and I look forward to seeing everybody out. It's going to be fun.
Well, I would say we're looking forward to hearing about your trip when you get back.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about that in mid-December when you're back in the saddle here.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And Dave, if you have anything in particular you want me to check out, I will, but I think I'm going to try to check out as much as I can for sure.
Oh, I think, just the fact that you're going to be going to Tokyo and Disney Seas is you're going to have a fantastic time.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun, and I know there's going to be so many great new attractions there, and can't wait to check out the nighttime show that you had a hand in, Dave. I think it's still there in some form.
Yeah, I think it's Once Upon a Time, I think it is.
Yeah, so I'll have to check it out.
The show in the Disney Seas Lagoon at night.
Can't wait.
So I hope you enjoy that.
Yeah.
Well, Aljon, I kind of feel like we're coming to the end of this. You're no longer the man of mystery. We've gotten your entire life story. That's unfolded here, and we didn't touch on the fact that you and Kristen adopted 2 children.
Yes.
So you've got yourself a family.
Yes. Yeah. Being on the road didn't leave a whole lot of time for that, but it was during the pandemic where all that happened. So I got promoted over at Gibson, helped run the division there. And then here's Kristen and I looking to be foster parents. And then we ended up adopting these 2 beautiful children during the pandemic where you and I hooked up, Dave.
That's right. That's the genesis of this show is the pandemic, isn't it?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And, I put my radio chops to some good use on this podcast every week, producing it behind the scenes. But
you really do, because as I've always said, you are the wizard behind the curtain. It would be no Skull Rock podcast if it wasn't for you.
And we have so much fun, Dave. And, it's great. I mean, just doing this every week has been super cool, and being part of the Disney community for many years has been really cool. And meeting all of these great filmmakers that we do every single week. They've been a fabric of my life, as I said, between music and animation. These things just really, I hold a very special place in my heart for, obviously. And it's great that I'm here with you, who spent a lot of your life's work, Dave. You and your wife both have spent your life's work creating memories for all of us out there, our fans. So appreciate it.
Well, listen, we appreciate having you on the Skull Rock podcast.
Yay. And
we look forward to having you back here again, my friend.
I think I'll do that, Dave. Thanks. I'll take you up on that.
No, Aljon, this has been a great interview. I'm really glad we had a chance to do this. I learned some things about you that I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's fantastic. So thank you. Thank you for sort of opening the book and spilling your guts.
Thanks, Dave. I look forward to our next chat.
There you go.
All right.
Skull
Take
Rock
care.
Podcast, where you hear the stories behind the adventures.
Let's get out of here!
Come on, Scotty, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, Lieutenant.
All right, Dave. Thanksgiving week. So happy to be back and wrapping.
Oh my
the
God,
show
that
up.
was a great guest. I mean, I just loved hearing about Aljon's, history. I mean, it was just fantastic. So it was amazing.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. Let's wrap up.
But it is Thanksgiving week, and we should wrap it up.
Let's do it. And really happy about where we are at the holiday season. Thanks for listening to our show. You made it to the very end, and my incessant flapping of my gums. If you love Disney pop culture and the occasional talk with one of us, you'll appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe to the show on all the favorite podcast platforms that are out there. Give us a like, give us a review. We'd appreciate it. Leave us those comments. We too would appreciate that. We even have this YouTube channel, so you can go ahead and listen to us there. Give us those likes and subscriptions. We'd appreciate it. Send us those emails, because we love to read those too. Dave, D-A-V-E, of course, at skullrockpodcast.com, or Aljon, A-L-J-O-N, at skullrockpodcast.com. Be sure to follow me, Aljon Go, on Instagram. Best place for me to communicate with you, you want to DM me, you want to message me, that's the best place to do it is Instagram. And a big shout out to our friends at Sorcerer Radio at srsounds.com. All Disney music all day long at Sorcerer Radio, srsounds.com. And my other podcast with my wife, Kristen, who you just heard about. She wouldn't be able to let go of me or throw me away. I just kept on hanging out with her, just like a stray puppy. Dining at Disney podcast, everywhere you find podcasts. Dave?
Well, Aljon, as I always mention, you can hear me on the Tunes Behind the Tunes on Sirius XM, Disney Hits, Channel 133. Well, during the month of November, we're featuring the song I See the Light from Disney's animated hit film Tangled. I love that song, I See the Light. I talk a little bit about that song and the behind the scenes, the song and the film. So check that out all month, all through the month of November. And I have no idea what we're dropping in December, but I'll let you know next time. And you can always get signed copies of my books at theoldmillpress.com, including my latest book, Find Your Happy Place, the 8-Step Guide to Boosting Your Creativity for a Personal Retreat. Winner of multiple book awards, so check that out. Also, The House of the Future, Claude Coates, Kem Weber. They're all there. You can get signed copies. And you can always go to my website, davidbossert.com. There's all kinds of free content if you're interested in Disney history and animation history. There's all kinds of articles and stuff like that that you can check out there. And with that, Aljon, I'm going to wish everybody, our entire listening audience globally, to have a very happy Thanksgiving. Indulge, have fun, visit with friends and family. Don't kill yourself shopping right after the Thanksgiving Day. You know, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday.
Oh boy!
They're just getting all these names out there for how to spend your money.
Yes,
but you know, people are going to be out there. It's the holiday season. People are rushing around. Take your time. Be careful. Be kind to one another. And we will see you back here next Monday, right here on the Skull Rock Podcast. Have a great week. Bye-bye.